Hello, I'm Anthony David Hobbs, and this is Star Wars spin-off. The first Star Wars spin-off, well, obviously not the first one, but the first one I'm going to review, which is The Clone Wars. And, well, you see, this is a cartoon simply called The Clone Wars. It came out 2003, I believe, and then I think in 2004 it came out in England. Well, anyway, you see, it's set before Star Wars Episode 2 and Episode 3. Now, Star Wars Episode 2, we see the beginning of the Clone Wars. Star Wars Episode 3, we see the Clone Wars wrapping up, so the beginning and the end. Well, where's the middle? Where's all the stuff that happened in between? Yeah. Well, George Lucas guessed that would upset a lot of fans. Why do we see so little of the Clone Wars? And his guess was absolutely right. Yes, I'm a Star Wars fan, and I wanted to see a lot more of the Clone Wars. Yeah, after all those references to them before, yeah. Anyway, so this is the first Clone Wars spin-off. It's part hand-drawn, part CGI animated, because some bits where the spaceships have to move, it has to be a CGI, yeah. And yes, it is an enjoyable cartoon, a bit more violent than most kids' cartoons, that's why it's PG, yeah. And there's one bit where Mace Windu, there, he fights a whole army of battle droids practically single-handedly. He stops this big stamping machine, you know, and destroys it and everything. And there's little or no dialogue in that action sequence. Yes, it shows, yes. Like Star Wars in general, a lot of stuff is told visually, yeah. And, well, a little thing about originality here. That cyborg there, this one here, I can't remember his name, but he's sort of alive on the inside and metal on the outside. He's a formidable opponent, yes. And Obi-Wan Kenobi has great difficulty killing him. Anyway, the point is, he has these little force field shields on his arms, and he uses them to stop a hit from a lightsaber, yeah. And I thought, a force field that you use as a shield? Where have I seen that image before? And then I thought, oh, of course, Ulysses 31, the cartoon from the 80s, yes. He has a gun that is also a lightsaber, very unoriginal. But at least the force field shield, that's original. And now, so Ulysses copied ideas from Star Wars, now Star Wars copies ideas from Ulysses 31. So the wheels come full circle, if you like, yeah. So yes, Ulysses did the idea of a force field being a shield first. Oh, and a couple of other things that are unoriginal. I recently saw an advert on TV about a laser gun that is also a lightsaber. Well, that's the same as Ulysses 31, yeah. There's nothing sacred, there's nothing original. And, okay, another unoriginal thing. The droid cars that have like a force field around, they shoot lasers at the Jedi. They walk slowly on legs, but when they have to move fast, they roll into a ball and move really fast in a ball. A robot that moves fast as a ball. Where have I seen that image before? And I thought, Terrorhawks, the Zeroids, they're little balls that move along like that, yes. So, yes, Star Wars has borrowed a fair few ideas from other things, yeah. And, well, in Attack of the Clones, Anakin Skywalker's a bit of a whiny brat throughout the whole thing. He's slightly less whiny in this one. He's still a Padawan learner. And that Jedi there, you can see with the creepy-looking eyes, she's a Sith Lord, or wannabe Sith Lord, and she fights Anakin, yes. But the whole thing was just to test Anakin's ability, yes. And he beats her with aggression, yes. He's very aggressive when he wins a fight, yeah. And we see, I think it's the planet, the fourth moon of Yavin or something, where they have a dramatic fight, where there's the ancient Jedi temple, yeah. We see Count Dooku, and of course we see Yoda, because it's a prequel, see more of him. Obi-Wan Kenobi is now a general, yeah. And there's loads of action. Oh yes, does it deliver an action? Some of the action sequences are a bit over the top, but very enjoyable, yes. Padme, yes, we see her in this story. Well, there's not really any focus on romance. No. This is much more focused on the action, yeah. And, well, I suppose I just have to say, in the big twist in Attack of the Clones was that Jango Fett, the father of Boba Fett, he's the original host of all these clones, the clone troopers that, of course, later become the stormtroopers. Now, I didn't have a problem with the big twist being stormtroopers are clone troopers, were clones all along. What I didn't like was that why does it have to be the father of Jango Fett that they were cloned from? Why does it have to be Boba Fett's father? Why can't it be a totally different character that we've never seen before? It's just too much of a coincidence that the supposedly random bounty hunter is now relevant to the whole overall plot. No. I mean, okay, George Lucas made it the father of Boba Fett to connect it, to make a connection with the original trilogy. Aren't there enough connections already? There's so many of them, it's getting ridiculous. There's just too many connections. Too much of a coincidence, yeah. And why do the clones have to be clones of just one person? Why couldn't they be clones of several people? Like, I don't know, one man the most brave, one the most intelligent, and one the most physically strong. Yeah, something like that, yeah. Well, yes, the clones and the battle droids battle it out, yes. And then, so that was 2003. This Clone Wars thing, this was a movie called The Clone Wars, released in 2008. And it is a good movie, yes, but when I saw it, it was more like a TV movie than a proper movie for the cinema, yeah. I found out later that this movie is in fact 5 episodes of Clone Wars put together to make a movie. And I thought, oh, when I knew that, that made a lot more sense. That's why it feels like TV, yeah. But George Lucas thought a good advert for this new TV show would be a movie, so that's what they did. Very impressive CGI, yes. And Anakin Skywalker, apparently Anakin is a real name. It wasn't made up for this show. But anyway, Anakin Skywalker, he is no longer a Padawan learner. He's a fully trained Jedi Knight, and he doesn't whine at all. No, he has at last grown up. He's mature. And this character here is called Ahsoka. And she's a wannabe Jedi. She's a learner, and Anakin trains her. So now he's so mature, he's mature enough to train other people to become Jedi. So yes, he's grown up. The story moves on. The story evolves, yes. And in this story, they have to rescue Jabba the Hutt's kidnapped son, a little Huttlet. And why would they want to help Jabba the Hutt? He's a criminal. Well, because they need his spaceports and certain planets and certain space routes for the war effort, the Clone Wars. So the good guys need help from a necessary evil, and the bad guys need help from necessary evil as well. Yes, there's a scene where Anakin and Count Dooku battle it out on the planet Tatooine, and he said Anakin's got this bag that he's pretending he's got the Huttlet in, and then as they're still fighting, he says, "This bag doesn't have the Huttlet in it at all. No, it was just a deception to get you to come over here." Why is he telling him that? Knowledge is power. Never let your enemy know what's going on, yeah. And although it's the planet Tatooine, it's clearly stated that Tatooine has twin suns. Well, in this movie, the suns are different sizes. Well, they're not twins then, are they? No, yeah. And overall, yes, both Clone Wars things are very enjoyable, very good fun, yeah. And a bit silly and immature in certain parts, but then that's because it's TV that's aimed at children, yeah. They've all been aimed at children, yes. All the TV spin-offs, Ewoks, Droids, Rebels, Clone Wars, all aimed at children. There hasn't been a TV show of Star Wars aimed at a family audience, both grown-ups and kids. Oh, yes, there has. There has one, the Star Wars Holiday Special, but that was pretty abominable. The only good thing about that was the first ever appearance of Boba Fett. And speaking of first appearances, in this one, we see General Grievous. Well, it's a very brief cameo, but yes, it's a precursor of what's to come in Revenge of the Sith, yeah. So, if you're a Star Wars fan, yes, you will love the Clone Wars stories, yeah. And, yes, it expands the story. We see the planets where the crystals come from, they're used for making lightsabers. We see an ocean planet where Mon Calamarians are like Admiral Akbar, Squidhead, and Kit Fisto come from. So, yes, we see planets that we hadn't seen before, just briefly mentioned, yeah. So the Star Wars universe expands, yeah. So overall, if you're a Star Wars fan, you will love the Clone Wars, yeah. Okay, thank you for watching. I'm Anthony Hobbs, and I'm never bored.